not feeling very well today again, but we gonna do this. Positive vibes. Slow down and take it all in. This one, I'm going to focus on the one that's most relevant to me. Some of my customers inspire me to slow down sometimes. And as you can imagine, it's the older customers. And interestingly enough, some months ago, I had this gentleman come through my line who I had never seen before. In front of him was the lady I was helping. And she, when I handed her her receipt, was kind of like scrambling to put her card away, other things away. And she told this gentleman, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna move out of your way in a second." And he said, "Oh, don't you dare be in a hurry. I stopped living in a hurry a long time ago." And when I judge him superficially, I can imagine that he's probably retired. I feel like he, in a sense, hinted at that with something he said, but I just can't remember what he said. I just remember he said something about, "I used to live my life rushing all the time, but that all ended." I have to presume that he retired, or maybe he had the situation that mom had, which is you have something physically hindering you, therefore you had to take an early leave. But knowing men, y'all would rather work until you drop dead than actually being put out of the game because you physically should before you drop dead anyway. But anyway, there's really no telling. I really don't pry and stuff like that, and I don't really try to retain that information. But I just knew that snippet he said was probably going to inspire me to talk about something in the future, and I guess this, as you can see, it triggered this memory. The element of taking it all in is one that I've been consciously making an effort toward. And one of the ways that I started doing this was with something as simple as how I eat. I'm so used to this unhealthy habit of I buy a meal for my 30-minute lunch break, and I know that 30 minutes is not enough for me to eat all of that. I'll begin eating fast, causing indigestion, causing bloating. I have thrown up at work. I have 3 memories of having to eat so fast, so much, so little time that the anxiety of it made me tense my body. I naturally have stomach problems anyway. And of course, that turned into a disaster. I had to get up and run to the bathroom and let it all out. In one of those instances, I didn't even make it to the bathroom. I had to make my deposit into a bag. I told myself, this bullshit has to end because I'm stressed, in addition to trying to be that perfect worker of being back at my post, not a minute more, not a minute less. And I noticed how that shit was affecting me. And now I turned into that person who I will take my time. I will go to the bathroom. I will eat whatever I need to eat. If I need that extra minute, minute and a half, I'll fucking take it. And if management were to try to say something to me, I'm gonna tell them the truth. I'm like, well, I wish to participate in a decent break, and y'all don't take into account how long it takes me to walk from point A to point B, whereas back in the good old days, when this was not electronically monitored, you could technically add an extra 2 minutes to your break because we understood that for those of us who need to buy food, we have to go get it, possibly wait on the line, and we're being penalized for that. And in some cases, I liked that some of my managers from back in the good old days had enough sense to observe me doing my best consistently. To sometimes I would try to pick up whatever I was trying to buy ahead of time, so that way I only wasted my time waiting on the line. If it would get slow enough and what I needed was super close, I would walk as fast as I could to start collecting what I intended to eat for my break. And then I told myself, let's say that for whatever reason I want to enjoy my food hot. I am also going to be wasting that time that I could be using chilling out, because I have to do what I have to do to access that food nice and warm. And I thought, why do I have to be so miserable at this place that I spend too much time in? Over a third of my day goes to this place, and I am so disrespected. I'm always continuously humiliated. I'm humiliated when it comes to where I have to park, when the weather is super hot or super cold or rainy, whatever. I have to be parked as far away from the building as possible so that the people I am there to serve mistreat me, and ultimately they get the convenient spot, because God forbid if you inconvenience the customer with one little thing. When I started to think critically about what I actually go through in my day, that's when those little things started to add up, to the point that I started feeling why it sucks to be on the lower level of society, and why it doesn't have to be that way, and why it shouldn't be that way if I'm someone who's actually here doing work and contributing so that society can continue to function. People can actually access what they're coming here to shop for and things. Why on God's green earth would you make it inconvenient for me to make it to my vital post? If you are a worker of any sort, I think that you are already doing something for people, whether you are ringing up groceries, bagging them, or keeping the area clean. Whatever your role is, your job exists because it's clearly a necessary component for the flow of things. Why would you be the one humiliated person out of all of them? All because you want to empower the person who's spending their precious dollars with us. So this may not be turning out like what you expected, but slowing down helped me to address the burnout and genuine disdain that I was starting to feel about the quality of my days. And when I was taking it all in, I told myself, it's about time that shit stopped being that way. I started prioritizing my home, how it feels to be home. My room, I accepted that it's always going to look like a work in progress, because as opposed to trying to run a business by having like a storage that I have to go to every time I have to ship something out, I'm like, no, 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 no. There's no reason why my home cannot have its own spot designated for my convenience. Because now I'm turning my home into an extension of work. My time off is now going to be spent having to drive somewhere to access something that in reality I shouldn't mind having here, because it's good for me, it's convenient for me. So when I started taking all that in, I said, my room is going to probably look like a mess for another 10, 15, 20 years. It is okay. My formative years, I spent them with an immaculate, impeccable room. I have the skill to do that, but I'm just choosing to direct my energy to something else. I don't need for that to be perfect anymore, like I used to feel compelled to. Slowing down is also helpful because you feel like your body, when you have to summon energy, it's been conserved. It's kind of like using your phone or a computer on low power mode. Once you exit low power mode, you know how you get that burst of performance, that burst in display, everything. That's kind of how I am. I'm like, okay, I'll look chill, cool, calm, collected. But when something that I deem urgent needs to be done, I can scramble. It's like what I imagine people who are like in the Air Force, their next sortie looks like, being Minutemen back in the good old days of war and stuff. That's me pretty much. When the situation calls for it, I can make shit happen in seconds. When I started to notice that I'm waiting for the time to deploy myself onto a certain battle, that's when I started feeling the difference, and I started feeling a whole lot happier. I was living in scramble mode the entire time that I was awake. And I said, why do I do that? Why can't I not feel compelled to slow down? So I started slowing down, and now I get to work when I get to work. I get to places when I get to places. I get things done at home when I get them done. The gym, whenever I go independently and not as a courtesy of my boyfriend, I get there when I get there. I do what I can. I don't feel like I have to fulfill everything. And even with the channel, did you guys notice how, was it yesterday that I uploaded something like at midnight? And earlier that day, I uploaded something uncharacteristically like, what's that, 6 a.m. or something like that? Shit gets done at my own pace and rhythm. And whether that is eventually gonna catch up with me in a negative way or whatever, if I have to change and go back to my high heart rate times, I will do it, make the adjustment for as long as necessary. But if I can continue my current pace, which is currently working for me and it makes me a whole lot happier, I'm going to continue that. I don't care who is inconvenienced by that. But I think it's nice that I'm slowing down, taking it all in to give myself the edge, as opposed to just being in a continuous state of serving others and ensuring that others are okay, others are satisfied, others are convenienced. But I'm like, what about me? When the fuck do I get those benefits? When do I get to enjoy such a thing? So now it's like I make it happen for myself. And if you want to get better from me, then I need to see your contributions. Because if not, then I'm just not willing to anymore. I hope that made sense. Of course, the point of this is not to be like, oh yeah, slow down and take it all in. It's important that you don't rush yourself because there's no point in rushing. Rushing is dangerous. You know, something basic like that is like, I like that I can take these topics and twist them in the way that I actually feel them, as opposed to just being this like cheerleader about these positive things and messages like this. It's like, no, this is the reality of things as I perceive it. We're gonna go over it, and this is why. And whatever can be fixed gets fixed, and whatever realistically can't, it just doesn't. If you're going to conflict with my values and my state, the state of my health, the state of my physical well being, the state of my mind, if any of that is going to be compromised now, I will reconsider. Whereas before, I looked at it as, nah, this is the dedication and commitment I have to demonstrate in order to get ahead. No, 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 no. There is no reason why humiliation and exploitation needs to be the way of things. If we're so much a developed, advanced society now, compared to olden times, this is not how things should be. This is not how it should feel at any given moment. Come at me, bro. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I don't expect for this one to have been particularly full of sense. I'm just confident about the experience that I have had in my life up to this point. And the more that I stop to think even more critically and do things more methodically, the happier I am. I am meant to be controlling in nature. It's just the way that my circumstances forced me to be. It's my element, and I'm not going to try to neutralize it just because other people are uncomfortable or bothered by it. It's my ability, it's my talent, it's what I was given, it's what I'm going to use. Take it or leave it. Okay, bye.